As we continue covering this story on EWTN News Nightly, we are hearing from victims of abuse that the church is not addressing their pain. And it's important that we continue to hear their stories. Joining us now is one of the victims. Faith Hakesley was sexually assaulted by a priest when she was 15 years old. The priest was sentenced to prison, defrocked, and deported to his native country. Faith, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
As a survivor, what were your first thoughts when you heard the information from the Pennsylvania grand jury report that said more than 300 priests there abused more than 1,000 children over 70 years?
It was like a wound being opened up all over again. And it tells me that not enough has been done. And the USCCB in particular, they have their blinders on, which they clearly need to take off, and they need to do something. We're hearing a lot of words from the Pope and other bishops, some good, some bad, unfortunately. But really, all I'm hearing is words. I want to see some action.
I think you're not alone. You know, we are hearing from some of the bishops demanding investigations. We're hearing from the lay people who say they want to be involved in those investigations. But let's move forward to some solutions. In 2008, you and 4 other survivors met privately with Pope Benedict XVI when he visited the United States. We have a picture of it right here. Tell us about that meeting. Was that one-on-one meeting helpful in comforting you?
It was for me. I can't speak for anyone else in the room, but it's hard to put into words there was something that went on that day in that room that I really can't put into words. I had it planned that I was going to say something really amazing and powerful and show him what a survivor I was. And really the last minute when it was my turn to go up and meet him, I just cried. But I think my tears said everything that I wanted to say. It spoke for not only my pain, but for the pain of my family and for the pain of all the other survivors who maybe have never had a voice.
Well, given your experience, Faith, should Pope Francis meet with all the victims? It might seem like that's impossible, but can the Vatican find a way to invite survivors so that the Pope can address them directly?
It sounds like a wonderful idea. I hadn't really thought about it. However, I'm not sure how open some survivors are going to be to that until we actually see something happening. Again, seeing that action taking place. I would welcome the idea of him visiting maybe all the different countries that have been affected, maybe to a centralized location, for example, some here in the US. For someone like me who can't really travel to Rome because of my family, what I would really love to see is survivors given the opportunity to speak in front of the USCCB at their November conference, because they need to see the faces of the survivors, they need to hear their names, they need to hear their stories and hear and see the impact that their failures have had on the survivors and their families.
You've written that your experience rocked your faith, but it didn't destroy your faith. And you have young children. Are you afraid for them as they grow up in the church?
I'm afraid for them, not just because of not just in the church. My husband and I, we shelter our children. We don't isolate them, but we shelter them no matter where we go. It's not just a church thing because of the abuse. You know, this goes on everywhere. As far as our faith, this crisis has actually encouraged us to want to instill in them even more our Catholic faith, because they are our future. They are our future generation. Our ultimate goal is to get them to heaven, and we want to encourage our children to want the same goals for when they're grown.
Faith, thank you so much for your insight as a survivor of sexual abuse. Faith Hakesley, thank you for joining us.